Welcome to Module 2, Cult 1010 2G, Social Media, Identity, Status Power, Issues in Social Media. I'm Dr. Tanya Pobeda. Here's another confession. I love social media. I hate it as well, but I've really loved engaging on social media. As I've shared, I'm a remote worker. So social media is a real lifeline to see what's going on in the world, to connect with people all around the world, to make new friends. They're called pocket friends online. And I have some really lovely relationships with people online. It's not always great. Sometimes when I publish my research, I get really nasty comments, sometimes even death threats. And that's just part of the package that is social media. I don't personally believe in the view that social media is inherently evil. I think it's a tool. Like all tools, it depends on how you use it. And it depends on what you put into it as well. Now, social media is sometimes just resting state terrible. And I completely understand that. But I'm not going to give you a lecture today about social media is bad and watch out what you post online. Of course, that's true. But I think you also should have a voice. And I think a lot of the people that share perspectives about don't post things online are often people who have vested interests to protect. The best things I've learned have come from people I've connected with online who've shared their lived experiences and opened up my consciousness of their situations. It's deepened my empathy. It's allowed me to connect with people from all around the world. I really like social media. This is a picture of what was my first home growing up in the far north of Canada in a little place called Peace River, Alberta. 4 of us lived in this tiny bowler trailer. They're called bowlers. And it was really hard. It was snowy and freezing. And we lived in this trailer until we could buy a bigger, what was called a double wide. It was really, really hard. We had moved from a small city in sort of mid-southern Alberta all the way up north because my dad got a job working with the oil and gas sector as an insurance broker. And I think about it a lot. How did I get out of that town? What compelled me to leave my hometown and come to Ontario? It was a really hard thing, not as hard as moving from another country. Absolutely not. But it was a real culture shock coming to my first big city in Ottawa. My first act was being confused and crossing the road and probably being hit by a car because I didn't understand that people actually drove on the shoulder of the road. It was all kinds of just a comedy of misadventures. People were not as nice as you'd hope. In helping me get acclimatized, I felt very lonely. I was away from home. And I wondered sometimes, what made me want to leave my hometown and come to Ontario. And the reason I share all of this is because I think that without social media, without all of these connections that I made over time, starting my career when the internet was just becoming a thing, made all the difference in the world in terms of my worldview and my interest and my understanding that my lived experience was not everybody else's lived experience. And I really think, I wish that everybody had the early experiences I had online, because it really helps to deepen your connection with everyone. And it helps to understand that, this concept called the global village, that we're actually just a really small town now, thanks to social media. We can reach out and connect with people all around the world and know things you wouldn't have known before pre-internet. So this was just a quick personal aside because I was thinking about it the other day. And by the way, tiny house living, especially in a bowler trailer, is no fun at all, by the way. Like I said, I like social media. Should social media platforms provide better safety features? 1,000%. But social media allows people to stay connected with friends and family, regardless of geographical distances, It has revolutionized communication by enabling real-time interaction through text, voice, and video calls. Boy, my experience of moving away from home would be so much nicer because there is social media. Unfortunately, back in my day, it was letters, and that was pretty much it. And of course, phone calls. Information sharing, social media serves as a platform for the rapid dissemination of information, news, and updates. That's a huge part of the value of social media. You can get real-time information with people on the ground. During crises and emergencies, social media can be a vital source of information. It's also an incredible tool for networking and professional opportunities. Social media platforms like LinkedIn provide opportunities for networking, job searching, and professional development. It can connect individuals with potential employers, mentors, and colleagues. It's a great research platform and a great networking platform as well. We're living proof of this next one. Look at us. We are learning, we are teaching, we are learning from each other. I could not have imagined something like this back in my undergrad days. This would have been fantastic for me. I was very socially anxious. I like so much learning. I loved hanging out in libraries. I loved, in my early career, using the internet. It was so great to have all of this information at my fingertips. And I marvel. I still appreciate it so much. Having everything so easily available. The capabilities we all have to research and connect with people is fantastic when it comes to education and learning. Many educators and institutions use social media to share educational content, facilitate discussions, and provide resources for learning, just like we're doing right now. It can be a valuable source of educational information and tutorials. Huge! You can keep learning your whole life. I use YouTube constantly. If I don't know how to do something, I just teach myself. And then I taught myself this tool, and I'm getting better all the time. Hopefully you like these. The key here is it's all there, and you can use it just like any other tool, for good or for bad. But of course, there is a downside to everything, and as I alluded, I've certainly had my share of really unpleasant experiences online. But I think there's something about growing up in the far north, being surrounded by, timber wolves and bears, and things are feeling very unsafe all the time. It makes getting really nasty comments on social media not that big a deal for me. They're awful, obviously. They're terrible, and I don't like them. But one of the key things here, and you're going to take this away from this lecture and the work we're going to do together, that social media can be a very, very positive thing if you use it in the right way. Social media does provide a platform for cyberbullying, where individuals can be harassed, threatened, or ridiculed online. I've had my fair share of that. This can have severe emotional and psychological effects on victims. When I first published some of my research on representation and racial diversity and sexism and homophobia and transphobia in the gaming community, oh boy, gamers can be really, really nasty. And I had weeks where I was just dealing with constant hundreds and hundreds of comments. And it does have an emotional impact on me. I work with researchers who stopped sharing their research entirely online. I'm too stubborn, and I think I've entered my cranky old lady phase of my life, where I'm just going to plant myself and just keep telling the truth. But you need to be able to keep yourself safe online, and that's something that we're going to talk about today. Putting your best foot forward so you can network professionally and help yourself get those employment options and possibilities through effective online networking. Woo, this is a big one. Fear of missing out, the acronym FOMO. Social media can induce feelings of FOMO, where individuals feel like they are missing out on exciting experiences or opportunities that others appear to be having. This can lead to anxiety and a constant need to stay connected online. This is a huge one. I don't travel. I don't have a fabulous lifestyle. I don't own a home. So this can be very alienating. When you look at social media, it can kind of present an image of the world that I personally feel does not exist. The average Canadian worker makes about $22 an hour. So a lot of people who are posting stuff online are not real, I hate to ever use that word, not necessarily your average person. Whenever you hear someone say real Canadian, it's always a bad sign. They're not necessarily representative. The folks who post these fabulous pictures online tend to be people who are rather unique or exceptional. And that's actually a huge part of online web theory. There's this really interesting rule that about 1% of the people engaged in a particular platform or community, like say a discussion post or a social media platform, only about 1% really post avidly. They're producing 80% of the content. And so when you see stuff online where everyone's having a fabulous time at luxury resorts, understand that's at best maybe 1% of a population, or certainly 1% of the users of that particular platform. And there's also something about identities where people who tend to be wealthier feel a little safer sharing more information in any kind of space, online or offline. This one is huge for me. I have slight insomnia. I work a lot. And social media tends to disrupt my sleep a little bit as well. I spend a lot of time working, but at night, sometimes I scroll. Some call it doom scrolling, where you're scrolling through various social media platforms, looking at things, reading news articles. I do it a lot, probably more than I should, but I really want to stay informed, especially right now. So sleep disruption is a big one. The use of social media before bedtime has been shown to disrupt sleep patterns, affecting the quality and duration of speech. And yes, I am here to tell you that is 100% true. So in Module 2, you're going to be asked to set up a new social media presence. I'm including this demo and suggestion, which is LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a really important thing for looking for work in Ontario in particular. It can give you great visibility. It's a fairly easy setup. You may not already have one, and I think it's a really good investment in your future. I like to make sure assignments in the courses that I support have practical impact on finding work later. So that's a big bias that I have. So I'm including this particular overview of LinkedIn to help you out and kind of get you set up for graduating at a later point. And the idea here is maybe some of you don't have a LinkedIn account. This is a really easy way to start this particular request in Module 2 to set up that social media account, because you may not already have one. If you do, that's wonderful. I've got other suggestions in the shell about how to set up a Threads account, for example. And if you have a question about how to set up any particular social media account, I have tons of them. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Threads, so you name it, I can definitely assist if you're having any trouble whatsoever with coming up with ideas for social media accounts you might start. The idea here is in Module 2, you have to set up a new one, and that's a great way to kind of go through how each site is a little bit different. There's a lot of similarities between platforms, but again, this is LinkedIn.
Essentially, LinkedIn has become the new resume, as it provides insight into who you are, what you do, what you've accomplished, and more. So if you've gone through the process of setting up a basic LinkedIn account, it's a good idea to put some more effort into it and create a profile that really stands out and helps you to achieve your goals. Throughout this chapter, we'll be looking at several of the different sections you can add to your profile and exploring best practices for using them. But before we get started, let's take a step back and consider a few things. First, ask yourself, why are you using LinkedIn? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you looking for a job? Are you building a professional network? Showcasing your business or product? or searching for new ideas related to your field. Each of these is an excellent way to use LinkedIn, and they're not mutually exclusive. But consider what your primary purpose is for using LinkedIn. It may change depending on your current goals, but your current goals should dictate how you set up and maintain your profile. It's also important to stay visible on the LinkedIn platform. When working on and updating your account, look for opportunities to use keywords, words that are relevant to your field that others may use when searching for someone like you. Also keep a mindset of adding value to your network. LinkedIn is a great place to get updates, ideas, and resources from industry leaders, but make sure to create win-win relationships where you're also sharing your knowledge and helping people within your network. In addition to helping others, you'll also increase your visibility on LinkedIn, especially if others share your contributions with their networks. Along those lines, you'll want to stay active on the platform. The more you post and interact with others, the more you'll show up on other people's feeds. And remember to be professional. LinkedIn is a social networking site for professionals. Be sure to conduct yourself and create your profile to reflect this. And keep your profile up to date. As you acquire new skills, take on new jobs, and accomplish new things, be sure to update your LinkedIn profile to reflect your current status and responsibilities. Finally, once you've created an awesome LinkedIn profile, share it with others. Share the URL to your LinkedIn profile on your business cards, your email signature, and in other places to help build your network. For more on boosting your profile, check out the course Rock Your LinkedIn Profile in our library.
So like I said earlier, your task is to set up a new social media account for Module 2. And really, it's your pick. You can choose any one of the ones that I've listed in the shell overview. I've got a few of them in there. I've recently joined Blue Sky, for example. I'm a part of Spoutable, which is a Twitter replacement. I'm a part of Threads, like I said, which is linked to Instagram and is a little bit more Twitter adjacent as well. There are all kinds of different ones, and I've listed a few as suggestions, but really it's your pick, it's your choice. LinkedIn can be very valuable, and that's why I highlighted it as a specific example. If you don't already have one, it's a great discipline to get it started, and it might be a really interesting way through. So that is my overview for this week. I'm going to try and include these video overviews because I learn better with videos myself, and I wanted to see if I could, integrate videos into this particular course design to see if it is helpful to you. And I would love to hear from you if this is a helpful addition to this existing course, because I do like to create these types of videos as high-level overviews to kind of give you the sound of my voice, create a little bit more personal connection in an online asynchronous course. So let me know. I'd love to hear from you, just like in social media. I love feedback, and I really do love hearing from my students in these types of courses. So drop me a line. Thanks so much for listening.